Well, this morning's next guest will have important information if you worked around asbestos. Attorney John Lipsitz is back from Lipsitz and Ponterio. Good morning, John. Nice to have you here.
Good morning, Linda.
I understand you have been practicing law for 40 years, and you have been representing workers suffering from lung cancer from mesothelioma against the asbestos industries. That's a long time taking care of people.
Well, I've been in that area of practice for about 34 years, and since 1995, when Michael Ponterio and I established our law firm, Lipsitz and Ponterio, I've been practicing with Michael and a team of very dedicated lawyers and a great staff, a great support staff.
You've been really able to help a lot of people, and you must have highlights of the kinds of things that you have been able to help people with.
Sure. Well, something new and different comes up pretty much all the time. Mm-hmm. Recently, a man came to us whose wife had developed mesothelioma several years earlier, and she hadn't worked in any industry, so she had no exposure, at least no knowledge of having been exposed. And it took quite a lot of, it was really a puzzle. And it wasn't until we put two and two together and realized that they lived near a factory that we were familiar with that had emitted asbestos into the atmosphere, and that was the cause of her mesothelioma. It looked like the statute of limitations might have run because of all the time that went by from her diagnosis, but there's a little known section of federal law which we were able to apply to the case. Took a lot of research and persuasion, but we were able to save the claim and resolve it successfully. It was something we're very proud of.
That is great. And we want people to know that you may have been affected years ago, but if all of a sudden your health takes a turn and it is something like mesothelioma, lung cancer, and you had worked around asbestos, this can still be taken to court.
Well, yeah, it takes about, 20 to 50 years, sometimes a little less and sometimes a little more, for lung cancer or mesothelioma to manifest itself. So we have a lot of clients, for example, that worked for a couple summers as factory workers when they were in college, and then they went on to be teachers or doctors or lawyers, and then all of a sudden they've gotten sick, and you can still bring those claims.
And how does the court look on this, John, when they see that obviously asbestos, it's still being used, as a matter of fact? I mean, it should have been out of this country a long, long time ago.
It started to be regulated in the 1970s, and most products that are capable of giving off asbestos fibers into the atmosphere, it's called friability. Most of those products have been regulated or banned. There are still some restricted uses, but you're right, it really shouldn't be used at all. Mm-hmm. There are adequate substitutes.
Right. So we definitely want to let people know that there is help available. You're not alone with something like this. And it's unfortunate because we're talking about a lot of blue-collar workers, people who went to work, supported their families, worked hard, paid their taxes, and then end up with a situation like this.
We're talking about the 20,000 plus people that worked at Bethlehem Steel, the people that worked at coke oven operations all around the area, all the chemical factories in Niagara, in Niagara County, and all of the major power plants, and all the construction sites in the 50s and 60s and into the 70s.
John, does your firm only handle asbestos cases?
No, we also handle other complicated cases that in dealing with issues of law and fact that are complex. We handle some medical malpractice cases. We handle cases involving medical implants that have gone awry. And we handle cases involving machines that were poorly designed and cause injury to the people that are using them. If
someone is watching this morning and they believe that they may have been harmed by asbestos, John, what would you suggest they do?
Well, first they should contact a doctor. I mean, and generally speaking, if you're suffering from an asbestos-related cancer or a chronic disease, you will go to a doctor. You'll have symptoms. And then, make sure you're getting properly treated, and then you should contact a lawyer because there are remedies. There are remedies for this kind of an injury.
What if someone has passed away from this?
You can still the family can still bring a claim. There are time limits. Typically, you have to bring the claim within 3 years of the date that you're first affected by the disease, and within 2 years of the date of death. But the time limits are a little complicated at times. Not always clearly. You're not always clearly able to define them, to apply them into facts. That's why you need a lawyer.
Right.
You shouldn't guess about the application of the statute of limitations to your case.
Well, if anything that John has spoken about this morning hits home for you, by all means, don't waste another day. Call their firm today or log on to their website or Facebook page, lipsitzponterio.com.